Ever glance up at the departure board in an airport and think,
Yeah.
man, I wish my job involved planes?
Yeah.
Well, today, we're going to dive deep into a career that's all about aviation,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe not in the way you'd expect. Get ready to meet the Aeronautical Information Service Officer.
Precisely. We're going beyond the pilot's seat on this one,
Okay.
into the world of the people who keep those flights running smoothly and safely from behind the scenes.
And our co-pilots on this journey,
Yeah.
the awesome folks at RoleCatcher, a career platform that gives you the real deal on what it actually takes to succeed in different professions.
They provide those insights you just won't find on your typical job board. We're talking insider knowledge
Right?
about the day-to-day, the challenges, and the often surprising realities of this critical aviation role.
Okay, let's unpack this. First things first. When we say Aeronautical Information Service Officer, what exactly are we talking about?
Sure.
Paint us a picture.
Imagine this. You're the guardian of all this crucial aviation data, right? Ensuring that everything from the weather reports to the flight plans is accurate and up to date. You're the communication hub between the pilots, air traffic control, all these different agencies working together to keep the skies safe.
So not just about planes, then. Sounds like this role requires some serious communication and organizational skills, maybe even a bit of diplomacy.
Absolutely. And don't forget a meticulous eye for detail. RoleCatcher really emphasizes the importance of accuracy in this field.
Yeah, I bet it.
One tiny error in a weather report or flight plan
Oh, yeah.
could have some significant consequences.
Talk about pressure. And speaking of pressure, RoleCatcher mentions that this role involves maintaining operational timing from sunrise to sunset. Are we talking all daylight hours here?
Yeah, this isn't your typical 9 to 5.
All right.
The Aeronautical Information Service Officer schedule is directly tied to daylight hours and often beyond. RoleCatcher gives a great example. Imagine an unexpected weather system rolls in overnight.
Oh,
That could mean our officer is up all night, monitoring the situation, coordinating with the relevant teams to ensure smooth operations come sunrise. Weekends, holidays, often part of the deal.
wow. Now that's dedication. You really have to be passionate about aviation to sign up for that kind of schedule. But hey, at least you're not stuck in a boring office all day, right?
Not necessarily. RoleCatcher actually describes the work environment as potentially a calm office
Right.
or a bustling transportation hub,
Okay.
maybe even requiring travel on occasion.
Wow. So location, location, location.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the actual career path? Does one begin as like junior aviation data wrangler and work their way up?
Thankfully, the titles are a bit more official than that.
Okay, good.
RoleCatcher breaks down the career progression quite nicely, starting with those entry-level roles.
Yeah.
Think of it as your aviation boot camp.
Right.
You're assisting with data collection, updating charts, maybe responding to some basic queries, all while you're learning the ropes from the more seasoned officers.
So you're saying there's room to grow, to
Yeah.
like take on more responsibility as you gain experience.
Absolutely. As you move into those junior officer roles, it becomes less about assisting and more about owning those critical tasks.
Yeah.
You might be responsible for maintaining those real-time operational timings we talked about,
Yeah.
ensuring the accuracy of those flight plans, maybe even conducting quality control checks on the data flowing through the system.
And at the senior level,
Yeah.
what does it take to reach like the top of the aviation information chain of command?
Think of it as conducting the orchestra of information that keeps the skies safe and efficient.
Okay.
Senior Aeronautical Information Service Officers, they're the mentors, the strategic thinkers.
Right.
They're overseeing entire teams, managing budgets, maybe even influencing policy decisions within their organizations.
But you're not just dealing with data points, you're shaping how the whole system operates.
Exactly. It's a high-impact role, and that brings us to those pros and cons that RoleCatcher highlights.
Oh.
On the plus side, we're talking about job security in a field that's literally always moving. Airlines aren't going anywhere anytime soon, right?
Definitely not.
Yep.
And neither is the need for accurate information to keep those planes in the air. So job security is a big one. Got it. What else?
Think about it. Technology is constantly advancing. Regulations are always evolving. The aviation industry has to keep pace.
Right.
This isn't a field where you learn everything on day one and coast for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
There's always something new to discover, a new
Yeah.
challenge to tackle.
I can see why our learner listeners would find that appealing.
Yeah.
That constant learning, that aha moment of discovering something new. That's what keeps things interesting.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, RoleCatcher stresses the importance of continuous professional development in this field.
Okay.
They even suggest specific strategies for staying ahead of the curve. Think industry conferences, specialized training programs, basically becoming a lifelong student of aviation.
So it's not just what you know on day one. It's about, constantly expanding that knowledge base. Okay, that's the upside, but let's be real. Every job has its downsides. Yeah. What are some of the challenges that people in this role might face?
Well, we've already touched on the demanding schedule.
Right.
Those sunrise to sunset operations, the potential for weekend and holiday work, that can definitely take a toll on work-life balance.
Especially if an unexpected blizzard decides to roll in on your day off.
Precisely. And because the work is so directly tied to safety, there's a huge amount of responsibility that comes with the territory.
Yeah.
One error, one oversight could have some serious consequences.
So not a job for someone who crumbles under pressure. You've got to be able to think on your feet, make those critical decisions, even when the unexpected happens.
Exactly. RoleCatcher emphasizes the high-stress nature of the work.
Yeah.
You're dealing with constantly changing information, tight deadlines, and the weight of knowing that people's lives depend on the accuracy of your work.
Intense. Okay, so we've talked about the schedule, the pressure, but what about the actual day-to-day? What are some of the core skills that an aeronautical information service officer absolutely needs to have?
Well, RoleCatcher breaks down what they call functions and core abilities.
Okay.
And it's fascinating stuff. At the top of the list, complex problem solving, monitoring, and critical thinking.
I feel like I need a nap just hearing those words. But seriously, those are skills that apply to so many fields.
Yeah.
It's not just aviation.
Absolutely. But in the context of this role, it's about connecting the dots.
Okay.
Let's say you're monitoring weather patterns and you notice a potential issue developing that could impact flight routes. You need to analyze the data, anticipate the potential consequences, and then come up with a solution, all while coordinating with multiple teams, staying calm under pressure.
It's like you're playing 3D chess with airplanes.
In a way, yes. You have to be able to think several steps ahead.
Right.
Anticipate those potential roadblocks.
Right.
And be ready to, adjust course at a moment's notice. And that's where those aviation regulations and procedures come into play.
Right, because you can't just wing it when it comes to flight safety.
Right.
You need to know the rules of the sky like the back of your hand.
Right. That's why RoleCatcher stresses the importance of staying up to date with the latest regulations and technologies.
Yeah.
They're constantly evolving, and our Aeronautical Information Service Officer needs to be one step ahead.
So for any listeners out there thinking, this sounds amazing, I'm ready to take flight, what's the best way to get started in this career? Do you need to build a plane in your backyard or something?
Thankfully, it's a bit less DIY than that.
Okay, good.
While passion is key, a solid educational foundation is crucial.
Right.
RoleCatcher emphasizes a bachelor's degree in a relevant field as the standard entry point.
Okay, so we're talking aviation management, aeronautical science, anything that gives you that deep understanding of how the aviation world works.
Exactly.
What about certifications? Are those essential for, landing a job?
While not always mandatory, certifications can give you a definite edge in a competitive job market.
Sure.
RoleCatcher highlights a few valuable ones, like the Aeronautical Information Services certification, or even an air traffic control license.
Wow.
They demonstrate a commitment to the profession and showcase your specialized skill set.
It's like saying, hey, I'm not just book smart. I've got the practical know-how to back it up. But what about actual work experience? I'm guessing employers value that hands-on knowledge just as much as those degrees and certifications.
You're spot on. Experience is golden in this field. RoleCatcher suggests internships at aviation organizations or airports, or maybe even participating in specialized training programs. Even if it's not your dream job right out of the gate, any experience you can gain, especially early on, can be a real game changer when you're applying for those prime positions.
It's like loving your flight hours, building up that expertise.
Yeah.
And speaking of expertise, how crucial is networking in this field? Is it all about who you know?
It's definitely a combination of what you know and who you know.
Right.
RoleCatcher emphasizes the importance of building those relationships in the aviation world. They even give concrete examples, like joining professional associations.
Okay.
Think IFACSA, the International Federation of Air Traffic Controllers Associations, or attending industry events. Those are fantastic opportunities to connect with those seasoned professionals, learn from their experience, maybe even discover some job openings that you wouldn't find anywhere else.
It's like attending the aviation world's biggest networking event,
Hmm.
but hopefully with less turbulence.
Exactly. Building those connections can open doors and provide those invaluable insights.
So let's say you've aced your resume, nailed the networking game, and landed an interview for an aeronautical information service officer position.
Hmm.
What kind of curveballs should you be prepared for? Thankfully, RoleCatcher provides a little sneak peek into those interview questions.
They do, and some of them are real brain teasers, designed to assess your ability to think on your feet. For example, they might ask you to describe a time when you had to make a critical decision with limited information, talk about pressure. How would you handle that?
I'd probably say, well, first I'd check the weather report.
Hmm.
Just kidding. But seriously, they're really trying to gauge your problem-solving skills, right?
Precisely. Remember those core abilities we talked about earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Complex problem-solving, critical thinking. They want to see those skills in action. Can you stay calm under pressure?
Right.
Can you make a sound judgment based on the information that's available, even if it's incomplete?
So it's not just about knowing the procedures. It's about knowing when to adapt and improvise.
Right.
What other questions should our aspiring aeronautical information service officers be ready for?
RoleCatcher highlights another good one. How do you ensure the accuracy and quality of the information you handle?
Ooh.
They're looking for that meticulous attention to detail, that commitment to getting it right every single time.
Because when it comes to aviation, even a small error can have big consequences.
Exactly. Lives depend on the accuracy of the information these officers provide.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from day-to-day tasks to potential career paths. But I'm curious, RoleCatcher also mentions alternative job titles like air traffic manager, aviation inspector, flight operations officer. Are these potential stepping stones for an AIS officer, or are they like totally separate career paths?
That's a great question, and it highlights the interconnected nature of the aviation industry.
Yeah.
While each of those roles has its own specific requirements, the skills and knowledge that you gain as an aeronautical information service officer are highly transferable. Think of it as having like various interconnected runways within the aviation field.
So it's less of a dead end and more of a choose your own adventure situation.
Exactly. If you discover a particular passion within the aviation world, there might be opportunities to, specialize or transition into a related role. It's all about staying curious, embracing that lifelong learning, and recognizing those opportunities as they arise.
Speaking of opportunities, let's end on a future-focused note here.
Yeah.
With AI and automation becoming more prevalent in pretty much every industry, how do you see the role of an aeronautical information service officer evolving? Are robots going to be running the control tower soon?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? While AI can certainly streamline certain tasks, think like data analysis or even some aspects of communication, the human element will always be crucial in this field.
Yeah, makes sense.
The ability to interpret complex situations, make judgment calls under pressure, and effectively communicate with various teams, those are skills that are difficult, if not impossible, to fully replicate with technology alone.
So it's not about AI replacing humans, it's about AI augmenting human capabilities. A dynamic duo, if you will.
Precisely. I envision a future where aeronautical information service officers leverage AI as a powerful tool, allowing them to focus on those higher level tasks like strategic planning, risk assessment, and ensuring the seamless integration of technology into those complex aviation operations.
It sounds like a constantly evolving field with incredible potential, and certainly not for the faint of heart. For anyone listening who's ever looked up at a plane and wondered about the intricate web of information that keeps it soaring, I think we've provided a glimpse behind the curtain today.
We have. We've explored the multifaceted world of the Aeronautical Information Service Officer, a role that's both demanding and rewarding, challenging, and constantly evolving.
It's a career for those who thrive on accuracy, embrace lifelong learning, and are passionate about the intricate workings of the aviation world. Who knows, maybe one of our listeners will be the next aviation information guru guiding the skies with their expertise.